Middle East is at a standstill. It is April 2026 and the world is watching the most dangerous standoff in decades. Today, the headlines are dominated by two colliding stories. President Donald Trump's declaration that Tehran is desperate to end a crippling naval blockade and a devastating Israeli airstrike in Lebanon that has claimed the lives of heroic first responders. For the last 2 months, the United States and Israel have been engaged in a direct military conflict with Iran. It began on February 28th with massive strikes on Tehran. Since then, the global economy has been held hostage. Why? Because the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most vital oil artery, is effectively closed. President Trump has made his position clear. The blockade stays until Iran accepts his terms. But as the warships circle, the human cost is rising. Today, we break down the double blockade, the secret negotiations in Pakistan, and the tragedy in Majd al-Zoon.
On Truth Social this week, President Trump didn't hold back. He claimed that the Iranian government is in a state of collapse. This follows weeks of intense US naval activity where Central Command has forced dozens of vessels away from the Strait of Hormuz. The US has implemented what experts are calling a maximum pressure 2.0. It isn't just sanctions anymore, it's a physical blockade. Trump's goal? To force a new nuclear deal that goes far beyond the original JCPOA. Tehran has reportedly sent an emergency offer to Washington. They want the blockade lifted immediately in exchange for a partial reopening of shipping lanes. But Trump is in no rush. He stated, "I am under no pressure whatsoever." To him, the blockade is the ultimate leverage. Meanwhile, inside Iran, the situation is chaotic. Following the reported death of senior leaders in earlier strikes, Mojtaba Khomeini has been named the new supreme leader. However, he has not been seen in public since the war began. Trump's administration is painting a picture of a fractured regime, one that is running out of fuel, money, and time.
While the US focuses on the sea, the land war in Lebanon is reaching a horrific peak. Just hours ago, in the town of Majd al-Zoon, Israeli airstrikes hit a rescue convoy. The Lebanese Ministry of Public Health has confirmed that 5 people were killed. Among them were 3 paramedics from the Lebanese Civil Defense. These were men and women wearing clearly marked medical gear, attempting to retrieve the wounded from earlier bombardments. This isn't an isolated incident. Since the re-escalation of the Israel-Hezbollah conflict earlier this month, over 50 healthcare workers have been killed. The World Health Organization is calling this a violation of medical neutrality. Israel maintains that these strikes are necessary to root out Hezbollah infrastructure buried in civilian areas, but the international community is growing increasingly vocal. Entire villages in southern Lebanon have been ordered to evacuate as Israeli ground forces push further north. The human shield argument is being tested against the reality of destroyed hospitals and dead first responders. The question now is, where is the line?
The effects of this war are being felt at every gas station in the world. With the Strait of Hormuz blocked, Brent crude has shattered the $110 per barrel mark. The International Energy Agency has warned of a double blockade, where neither Iranian oil nor Gulf Arab oil can reach the market safely. There was a glimmer of hope on April 7th when a 2-week ceasefire was announced. Vice President J.D. Vance was even scheduled to lead a delegation to Islamabad, Pakistan, to meet with Iranian officials. But those talks are now in jeopardy. Trump called off the negotiators' trip just days ago, citing Iran's bad faith and their refusal to stop drone attacks on US assets in the region. Israel, too, seems to be on a different page than Washington. While Trump wants a deal to settle the markets, Prime Minister Netanyahu seems focused on a total regional reset, aiming to permanently dismantle the axis of resistance.
As we head into May 2026, the world remains on a knife edge. Will Tehran bow to the pressure of the naval blockade, or will they play their last cards on the battlefield as they've threatened? The death of medics in Lebanon and the silence of Iran's new leadership suggest that neither side is ready to blink. One thing is certain. The map of the Middle East is being redrawn in real time, and the cost of this transition is being paid in both oil and blood. Stay tuned as we continue to track the developments from the Strait of Hormuz to the streets of Beirut. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the 2026 conflict.
President Trump isn't holding back. In a series of recent statements and social media posts, he has framed the current US naval blockade as a noose tightening around the Iranian economy. Trump recently told reporters they are choking like a stuffed pig. His message to the Iranian leadership was blunt: just say we give up. Trump insists that Iran's military is wiped out and its economy is dead. He has threatened that if a deal isn't reached to dismantle Iran's nuclear program and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the next step won't just be sanctions, it will be the destruction of Iran's power plants and bridges. It's a return to maximum pressure, but this time the military threats are explicit.
But Tehran isn't folding.
Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the powerful speaker of the Iranian parliament, has dismissed Trump's rhetoric as foolish and delusional. In a rare audio message, Ghalibaf told the Iranian people that Washington's real goal is to sow internal division through economic pressure. Ghalibaf mocked the US strategy, suggesting that Trump is simply following the commands of Israel. He warned that any reckless moves by the US would cause the entire region to burn. To Ghalibaf, the naval blockade isn't a diplomatic tool, it's an act of war. His message was clear: Iran will not negotiate under the threat of a war crime targeting its civilian infrastructure.
So where does this leave us? The US has extended a temporary ceasefire, but the naval blockade remains in place. International mediators from Pakistan and Qatar are working overtime to prevent a full-scale regional war, but the window for diplomacy is closing. Trump wants a total surrender. Ghalibaf is calling for a military response to the blockade. With global energy markets in a tailspin and military forces on high alert, the next 24 hours could decide if this remains a war of words or turns into a global catastrophe.
The Strait of Hormuz is at a standstill. Today, US Central Command confirmed a major milestone in its naval blockade of Iran, revealing that 42 commercial vessels have now been intercepted and redirected since the operation began on April 13th. Following the collapse of the Islamabad Talks earlier this month, the Trump administration shifted from diplomacy to a maximum pressure blockade. The goal? To stop all oil and cargo from entering or leaving Iranian ports. According to Admiral Brad Cooper, this strategy has left Tehran unable to sell an estimated 69 million barrels of oil already loaded onto tankers. But this isn't just a US operation. We are currently witnessing what experts call a dual blockade. While the US Navy blocks Iranian ports, Iran has retaliated by mining the strait and restricting all commercial traffic, leading to a massive spike in global energy prices. Oil has surged over 5% today alone, hitting a fresh 4-year high as the International Energy Agency warns of the biggest energy crisis in history. It hasn't all been peaceful redirection. Just this week, US forces boarded the MV Blue Star for inspection, and the Iranian-flagged Tuskar was seized after attempting to breach the line. Meanwhile, carriers like the USS Abraham Lincoln and USS George H.W. Bush remain on high alert in the Arabian Sea, even as political pressure mounts in Washington over the cost and legality of this open-ended conflict. As President Pezeshkian calls the blockade doomed to fail and the US shows no signs of backing down, the world watches the Persian Gulf. With 42 ships turned back and counting, the maritime map of the Middle East has been redrawn.
The diplomatic silence between Washington and Tehran has just been shattered. Early this morning, Wednesday, April the 29th, 2026, President Donald Trump issued his most direct warning yet to the Iranian leadership. In a post that has sent shockwaves through global markets, the president told Tehran they must, quote, get smart soon. This isn't just another social media post. It signals a potential end to the April 8th ceasefire and a return to full-scale military readiness. The president's message on Truth Social was blunt. He claimed Iran is unable to get their act together and lacks the resolve to sign a non-nuclear deal. But it was the imagery that truly escalated the tension. Trump shared a graphic of himself with an assault rifle, captioned, "No more Mr. Nice Guy." This shift in tone suggests that the White House's patience with the Oman-mediated talks has officially run out. Why did this happen now? We have to look at the failed negotiations in Islamabad. Last weekend, a high-level summit was supposed to take place involving Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. The US delegation pulled out at the last minute. Right now, the Persian Gulf is effectively a dual blockade zone. US CENTCOM, under Admiral Brad Cooper, is stopping and searching every vessel suspected of carrying sanctioned goods to Iran. In retaliation, Iran continues to disrupt the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. This economic war is reaching a breaking point. The stakes extend far beyond the Gulf. The uncertainty has triggered a massive shift in global energy politics. The United Arab Emirates has officially confirmed its exit from OPEC, effective May 1st. This move, driven by the need for independent energy policy amid the conflict, threatens to dismantle the decades-old oil alliance. President Trump's ultimatum is a high-stakes gamble. He is leaning into the maximum pressure campaign, hoping that the Iranian leadership, which he describes as being in inciting mode, will crack. But with Iran's military on high alert and the nuclear issue non-negotiable for both sides, the window for a peaceful resolution is closing fast.
But which war do you think ends first?
That's an interesting question.
The diplomatic silence between Washington and Tehran has just been shattered. Early this morning, Wednesday, April the 29th, 2026, President Donald Trump issued his most direct warning yet to the Iranian leadership. In a post that has sent shockwaves through global markets, the president told Tehran they must, quote, get smart soon. This isn't just another social media post. It signals a potential end to the April 8th ceasefire and a return to full-scale military readiness. The president's message on Truth Social was blunt. He claimed Iran is unable to get their act together and lacks the resolve to sign a non-nuclear deal. But it was the imagery that truly escalated the tension. Trump shared a graphic of himself with an assault rifle, captioned, "No more Mr.